November 22nd, 1987. Chicago. Thousands of people are watching the local news, completely unaware that in the next few minutes, their screens are about to be hijacked by someone wearing a warped, grinning mask. No warning, no explanation, just static, followed by a face that would haunt local television history forever. Nearly 4 decades later, the FBI has never identified who did it. Welcome back to Facto, Mayank. In 1987, there was no internet, no way to just hack into a network from your bedroom. To interrupt a broadcast, you needed a properly tuned transmitter powerful enough to override the actual station's signal, and precise knowledge of exactly which frequency to hit. Whoever did this knew broadcast engineering at a professional level. The first incident happened just after 9 p.m. on WGN-TV. During the sports segment of the evening news, sportscaster Dan Roan was mid-broadcast when the picture suddenly cut to black, then flickered to a man wearing a rubber mask modeled after Max Headroom, a glitchy, artificial TV personality popular at the time, standing in front of a spinning metal background. There was no sound, just this eerie, silent, jittering figure rocking back and forth. Engineers scrambled and within about 25 seconds managed to cut the intrusion off. Dan Roan, visibly rattled, looked at the camera and said, "Well, if you're wondering what happened, so am I." Viewers had no idea it was about to happen again. Far stranger this time. About 2.5 hours later, just before midnight, viewers on a completely different channel, PBS station WTTW, were watching Doctor Who when the broadcast cut out again. Same mask, same spinning background. But this time it lasted nearly 90 seconds, and this time there was audio. The masked man's voice was distorted and warped, cycling between robotic tones and high-pitched laughter. He rambled through disjointed lines, mocking a rival broadcaster by name, making bizarre jokes that connected to nothing. Then someone off-camera stepped into frame holding a fly swatter and began swatting him, the masked man reacting with exaggerated moans. He briefly mimicked a spanking gesture toward the camera before the picture abruptly cut to static and normal programming resumed. WTTW's engineers weren't even in the control room monitoring the signal live at that moment. PBS stations often ran lighter staffing at night, which meant this intrusion wasn't stopped by a technical override. It simply ended when the hijackers chose to stop. Once news spread, panic set in. Hijacking a licensed broadcast signal is a federal crime in the US. The FCC and FBI both opened investigations almost immediately. Investigators believed the hijackers needed a transmitter powerful enough to physically overpower 2 major towers from a nearby location, likely a rooftop somewhere in Chicago, with a clear line of sight. But despite a fairly narrow list of technical requirements, investigators hit a wall almost immediately. No suspects, no leads, no one ever came forward. Some theories point to disgruntled broadcast employees, given how specifically the hijacker referenced a rival by name. Others believe it was skilled hobbyists showing off purely for the thrill. A smaller theory suggests it was underground performance art, using a character who was, ironically, a satire of television itself. What makes this case so frustrating is how clean it was. No fingerprints, no equipment ever recovered, no digital trail, because this predates the connected world we live in now. The only evidence is the footage itself, now one of the most replayed and dissected pieces of found footage in internet culture. To this day, the identity of the Max Headroom hijacker remains completely unknown. The statute of limitations on most federal broadcast violations from 1987 has long since expired, meaning even a confession today likely couldn't be prosecuted, which raises an unsettling possibility. Whoever pulled this off has lived an entire ordinary life since 1987 and has simply chosen, for nearly 40 years, to never say a word. Hope you enjoyed this video on Facto, Mayank. If you did, don't forget to like and share it. Thank you so much for all your love and comments. See you in the next one.